Good afternoon, everybody. I believe we've just gone live. Um, Thank you all for attending. Um, Welcome to today's hearing. This is an application to vary a premises license. What I'm going to do is ask everyone who are present, who are intending to speak, to introduce themselves, please. Can I start with you, Leo?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Leo Chalambides, and I am representing the premises, and I'll be doing the speaking this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does the applicant want to introduce himself? He doesn't. Okay, Bob, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Bob Beer, Licensing Enforcement Officer, Ealing Council.
Thank you. Right, my name is Councillor Amajit Jemu, and I shall be chairing the meeting today. My colleagues today are Councillor Tariq Mahmood and Councillor Fatima Mohammed, and I comprise of today's subcommittee. Alison Love is the legal advisor to the subcommittee. Zaina Ahmed is the Democratic Services Officer, who is the clerk to the subcommittee, who will be minuting the meeting. In accordance with the procedure, I shall invite the applicant to present the application. In this case, it's got a representative, so it'll be Leo, and we'll answer and ask any questions at the same time. I will invite those who have made representations to make the representations, answer any questions, and call any witnesses. At the conclusion of the hearing, the subcommittee, accompanied by the legal advisor and the committee Democratic Services Officer, will retire to consider our decision. The decision will be given at the end of the meeting. I'm not going to say a time right now, but when we finish, we can work out a time between us, and you'll get it confirmed in writing as well. If the panel cannot reach a decision today, you'll be notified in writing within 5 working days of the panel's decision. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I've explained the procedure to you. I am now going to invite the licensing officer to introduce the application.
I don't think we've got a licensing officer with us, Chair.
We haven't. I do beg your pardon. If that's the case, I'm going to invite the applicant to present the application. And in this case, I believe the representative, Leo, is going to do the representation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for that. This is a rather simple application, so perhaps it's no great loss that we're missing the licensing officer. But the report that has been prepared for the committee and for all of us is very thorough. It sets out the existing opening hours, the existing supply of alcohol hours on page 1. It sets out the fact that there were 2 representations, one by the police, which has now been withdrawn, and the second by your licensing officer, Robert Deere, which is still valid. It equally and importantly highlights on page 3 relevant aspects of your statement of licensing policy, particularly as it relates to hours. And there are 2 things happening in this application. One is an application to vary the existing hours, and the second thing is, or was, to remove a condition. So as your report states, this is an existing premises license that has been in existence since 2012. In 2015, it's accepted that a condition limiting the sale of high strengths beers, lagers and ciders was imposed, and that was a limit of 5.5 ABV. Now, in 2018, my client, who can hear us and can see us, but I can tell from my WhatsApp group that he can't switch the video on, which is why he wasn't able to introduce himself. gained the benefit of the transfer of the premises license. On being transferred and sold the premises, he was given the 2012 license, which did not include the 5.5 ABV limit. And in fact, behind the scenes, Mr. Lockett, the premises license holders, former solicitors, and indeed your own licensing officers have been trying to work out what has happened during the transfer process. Excuse me, hay fever season.
Thank you.
So what happened is that the license was transferred to the applicant on the 15th of May, 2018. Your department has worked out that a second-class letter containing the transfer was sent out in 2018. In fact, on the 4th of June by second-class post. There was no requirement for it to be signed for. This was never received by the premises or their solicitors. And certainly that was the last email I had on the subject this morning. So if there's anything fresh, maybe Ms. Love or Mr. Deere can update that. Since that time, the premises has traded without any particular issues or causes of concern until a visit on the 29th of February by Mr. Deere, who had the actual license and said, why are you selling these high strength products? There was also an issue about some alcohol on a shelf that was placed on the floor, which really wasn't in keeping with the spirits of the conditions of 2018. So the premises license holder acting in person applied to your local authority and basically saying, well, look, I've never had a problem with high strength beers, lagers, ciders. So can I remove what is in effect condition 10? And while he was at it, he sought to amend the hours. So you'll have seen from the report that the current opening hours of the premises are from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. and the current sales of alcohol are from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m. The application was, because it's now been amended, was from to maintain the opening hours unchanged and to add 2 hours in the morning from 7 a.m. so that it trades until 11 o'clock, which is in keeping with the Section 182 guidance, which generally says that operating hours should match the opening hours. Though, of course, your own statement of licensing policy, which is just as important, which is precede at paragraph 3, maintains that for the supply of alcohol off the premises, the preferred hours for you are 8 a.m. in the morning until 11:30 at night, Fridays, Saturdays and bank holidays from 10 a.m. until midnight, and on Sundays from 11 until 11:30. So certainly in terms of the terminal hour, the operator is way below what you request, but is in fact above. Now, the operator has been in consultation with the police, and insofar as the police are concerned, and you may not agree with them, they agree that the hours for the sale of alcohol from Monday to Saturday should be 8 a.m. until 2300 hours, and on Sunday from 9 a.m. until 2300 hours. So broadly, save for the Sunday and the weekend, broadly in keeping with the spirit of your policy. The next issue was to do with the sales of super strength alcohol. And in consultation, the applicant has agreed that the condition should stay on the premises. So the condition agreed with the police, though not necessarily with yourselves, is no sale of super strength beer, lager or cider of 5.5 ABV or above shall be sold at the premises other than specialty artisan beer, lagers or ciders. So it's often recognised that certain specialty products that aren't attractive to the to the street drinking community or problem drinking community could be sold. Typically, these are agreed with the licensing authority and with the police. I would add the proposed amendment to that agreed position, which is that these premium products should be a pre-approved list approved by the local authority in consultation as required with the police, because of course it's the local authority that make a decision. Mum, every effort has been made to regularise the situation. There is no history in the past 6 years of adverse issues. And I'm reminded of paragraph 1.5 of the section 182 guidance, which provides that there is a list of particular principles which are fundamental to licensing, alongside obviously the licensing objective, which include supporting responsible businesses. And I would say that this premises has operated responsibly. A defect in communication was identified. That has sought to be remedied. The licensing objectives and the reason behind them of promoting the licensing objectives is being maintained by the hours as amended and also by the condition as amended. And I would ask you and your colleagues to make this variation that has been requested. It's balanced, it's proportionate, and takes into account the concerns of the police and the local authority. So, Ma'am, that in a nutshell is the application today. It really is a tidying up exercise. I trust, I don't know if Mr. Deere had sight of the police position, but I trust that explanation is sufficient, and hopefully we can agree. And if we can't, then I commend the application to you. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, Leo. Thank you so much. Okay, I now invite questions. Bob Deere, do you want to go first?
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, I'd just like to clarify a position, and obviously with my representation. Obviously, yes, the premises were found breaching that condition, or two conditions, on the licence, and hopefully they have been remedied. Mr. Lockett, I did have conversations with him, and unfortunately we couldn't agree on the I see the hours have been put back now, but we couldn't agree on that condition, amending it. I say that the it's unenforceable, I believe, that condition, and puts too much of a burden on the council having to check regularly to see that they haven't slipped one beer in or changed one beer or such like. But I have no questions at the moment, Chair.
Councillors, do you have any questions? Okay, thank you. Well, I don't have any questions at this time either, at this point of time. If that's the case, then I am going to invite Bob to present his case. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. It's, the basis of this visit was the 29th of February this year, when I attended the premises with officers from Home Office Immigration Enforcement, where the licence inspection was also conducted. For some reason, my Exhibit 1 I can't find in the papers, which is a copy of the my inspection form. And at the present time, I can't get the folder from where I am to have a look at it. But from memory, we visited, there were two males on the premises. One was eating some dinner in the back. The premises do have a condition That's number 9. That's a minimum of 2 members of staff must be employed on the premises after 7 o'clock and until the end of license activity. There was a young gentleman behind the counter and one in the storeroom, allegedly just eating his food. So either it was breaching condition 9, or they had an illegal worker working there, because he has no right to work in this country. Obviously, looking at the shelves, I've supplied one picture there of of RD3 cans of high strength beer, which are Carlsberg Special Brew and Hay cider, which is 7.5 and 8%, I think it is now, where they've reduced it slightly, Carlsberg Special Brew. So breaching that condition. I hear what Mr. Sharalambers is saying, that his client was given a license back in 2012, but really it was down to his solicitor at the time. I don't know who it was. Perhaps to do their due diligence to have sent the copy of the license in. If they've sent that copy of license in, they would have been told that it wasn't the correct license, that there had been one since 2015, where all these conditions were actually put on, because prior to 2015, had no license conditions at all. Actually, we want to call it a grandfather rights license. But the other condition he was breaching was his adapted shelf, which Mr. Lockett agreed with me is not, and I think Mr. Sherrilling just said actually in his opening there, it's not really within the spirit of the act to have a plank of wood on the floor as a shelf, just to extend his beer sales. I say that licenses condition is unenforceable, because say it will basically put a burden on the police, a burden on the council enforcement. We have 620 off licenses out of just over 1,300 licenses. It's 48%. So if this license condition is, should we say, put on this license, I'm sure we'll see it attempted on every other license, and that means I'll be continuously driving around the borough checking lists of premises. I appreciate a list of beers would be supplied. Mr. Lockett and Mr. Sherrilling has confirmed that. But if one of the staff members goes to the cash and carry, and the premises license holder is not available, and they pick up the wrong case of beer, that would cause a problem for the premises. And believe it or not, premium lagers, Heineken at 5% is a premium lager. Not that I'd agree, but and so I'd say this license application should be refused for the variation of it, especially with that condition. I'm not too worried about the extension of hours to 8 o'clock, just as long as Mr. Sherrilling can arrange with his client to have some lockable shutters on his beer, because he'll obviously be open at 7 and not to be able to serve alcohol till 8 o'clock. But that's my representation, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dear. Thank you very much. Okay. Oops, I've lost. I do apologise. I thought I'd been thrown out and I'd lost Zoom there for a moment. Thank you very much for your representation. Leo, do you have any questions you want to ask Bob Dear before I go to the councillors?
Ma'am, no questions, but I have a comment on the unenforceability of the condition, but I presume I can deal with that in closing. Is that okay?
You can do. It's entirely up to you.
Thank you very much.
Can I speak to the applicant, please? Applicant, can you please turn your video on? It was on earlier before we went live, so it's not impossible to turn it on. Thank you. Thank you. Applicant, Mr. Makesharan. Okay, I just need to check with you first. We've got here is Nisa Local. and then we've got a photograph here for cost cutter. Is that one and the same thing?
Yeah, they group up before this Nisa local. Now they all together. The Islamic one group.
So it's called cost cutter now. It was Nisa local. Is that what you're trying to say?
The cost cutter and Nisa local. Now this all together. Now group one group.
It's all one. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. One more, another question to you, sir. I know Bob Deere and your representative have actually said how long, but I just want to hear from you with regards to your business experience with this. How long have you traded or sold liquor in general?
I am starting from 2012.
Okay.
This country.
Is that in the same business or were there others?
Yes.
Sorry, is that the same business we're talking about, or do you have experience from other businesses, business premises?
I got other shop also.
You have other shop also. Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Right. I've got another question for you, actually. This is in from what Bob Deere said just now with regards to illegal workers. Now, you are aware of the legalities of
Mom, can I just step in here?
Yes,
First, the
sure you can. I
representation.
was trying to ask the applicant because obviously he's the one who's going to be doing the employment,
Of course.
not yourself, sir. So I understand what you're saying, but you are welcome to.
I'm just aware because I've been advised that my client just has some difficulty with English. So I just wanted to step in and I will let him answer the question. And of course, it's for him to tell you whether he understands that he can employ people who have a right to work in the country. What I'd just like to point out is that the representation itself did not include any reference to this.
No, it didn't. I brought that up
I've not
because
been able, nor has Mr. Lockett been able to give any advice on this or take instructions. So it is unfair and contrary to the Section 182 guidance. What I can say is that Mr. Lockett does provide a due diligence pack, which includes how to check and make sure that all the employees are legally entitled to work in the country.
Thank you.
And perhaps you could ask Mr. Lockett whether that's been sold as part of the package.
Well, you've answered my question, sir. That's okay. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that, and I do appreciate the fact that you've answered it, even though it wasn't in the pack. I only brought it up because Bob Deere had brought it up. So, I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay. Are there any questions now? First of all, from my councillors.
Not yet, Chair.
I have a question, Chair.
Please ask Councillor Mohammed.
This is actually for Bob. In regards to the condition of the license, original condition, which appears that the representative, Mr. Leo, said that a second class was sent back in, I can't quite remember the year, and was not received. And Bob has mentioned that is the I just want a clarification, who is the responsibility to make sure that this license condition is adhered to? Bob?
Yeah, no problems. Unfortunately, I have no dealings with the process inside. However, so I haven't checked, shall we say, the machine to see what the procedure was, but it sounds like Mr. Lockett or Mr. Sharrell Embedis via Mr. Lockett has had some bit more information than me. However, I would say it's the applicant and his solicitor at the original time that should have ensured that where is his license? Why hasn't he changed his or chased it from 2018? Why he hasn't received a copy? Because it should be on the wall. It's an offence not to have that copy on the wall. Part B, and you know, I appreciate he's got a license from 2012, but you know, as I said earlier, I don't think that his solicitors at the time, whoever they were, actually performed due diligence very well.
Thank you.
Leo, could I ask you to answer that question, please? Why it wasn't on the wall as you're
Yes,
representing?
no, well, I think what's been on the wall is the, and I've not had an inspection, so Mr. Deer might be able to help us. But I think what was on the wall was the 2012 edition. There was a transfer, well, there was the transfer in 2018, and the transfer documents included the 2012. Now, I don't know whether that was to inflate the value of the business. I'm not sure what might have been behind that. But certainly in 2018, when the transfer was effected by Soma solicitors, they undertook the transfer, and it was Tara. Let me just take up the email. She said that the council have researched their diaries, and they did find that there was a letter sent on the 4th of June to the solicitors. The solicitors checked their records and they weren't able to find it. I yeah, I have to accept that the license must be on the premises and a degree of due diligence must be on the operator. When an operator relies on a solicitor and on the council, and both effectively fail him, I think some kind of understanding needs to be given, particularly as there have been technical breaches, albeit innocent breaches. There's no issues around crime, disorder, drunkenness, violence, and so on. And I see Mr. Dean nodding, and I know he's very fair. And the moment it was drawn to their attention, they did act to remedy it. So I think it's just an unfortunate administrative mess, which paints no one, the solicitors, the premises license holder, or the council, in any particular in good light. But we are fixing it now.
Thank you, Leah. Right, councillors, it's your last chance to ask. Okay. Alison, if that's okay, if there's no other questions, we can go on to summing up.
Yes, I think that's right, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, if that's the case, I am first going to invite the responsible authority, Bob Deere, to sum up, please.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, first I'd like to say I wasn't here in 2015, so not responsible. But I have actually found the inspection form here, but literally it says Part B on display, and quite rightly it was the old one. But he wasn't able to, or the young lad there at the time wasn't able to produce Part A for us. But because we had it, I'd already sent it over to the other officers, the other department. I was able to read from their phone what they're on there. But I won't go into more details on that. But I would say I've got no problems with the additional hour. It has been cut back from the 14 down to 7 now. Obviously, my issue is with that condition. Two reasons. One, as I said before, it would put a burden on us to check premises more regularly. And I would also like to say the premises haven't come to our notice previously. So it's one that wouldn't be high up on our risk, we say, chart. However, every premises would be on our risk chart if we had to go round and check if they were selling craft beer or other beers. So literally, I would just like to, that's my comment. And the other comment is that the for your consideration is the consideration of a lockable blind, because the one at the shop is not lockable at present. So yeah, I say that it shouldn't be removed, that condition that's already on there about high strength beer. because it caused a burden on us, more resource issues, which we've only got 2 of us. So we wouldn't be able to do that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, Leo, it's your chance now to sum up.
Ma'am, thank you. Thinking about dates and who started working where and when, I actually recall that one of my first and earliest, in fact, my first ever licensing case and appeal was in Camden, where Bob was the police licensing officer. So that's taken us back many years. Ma'am,
So you meet again.
I hate to be pushing an application which burdens Bob and makes him do perhaps more work, but it does seem to me that that's what licensing officers do. They inspect premises. They inspect premises with 5.5 ABV. They inspect premises that have a 6.5 ABV. They inspect premises for counterfeit goods. They tobacco, knives, other age-restricted products. It's what licensing, trading standards and police do. Though I appreciate for every local authority and the police, resources are an issue. And it's to the credit of this premises, and I'm grateful for Bob for making this clear, that the premises hadn't come to the attention of the licensing authority. There were no issues associated with it. I do believe the condition is enforceable. It's a very common condition. And it arose when this condition was first being considered, and it was looked at as to whether it was a restraint of trade, whether it was breach of competition policy. And one of the ways in which to make this condition lawful was to provide for exemptions to it. And so having a condition that says no sale of super strength beer, lager or ciders, 5% ABV or above shall be sold at the premises, other than specialty or artisan beer, lagers or ciders. And then I would add, as pre-approved with the licensing authority. I think it should be the licensing authority in consultation with the police if they wish, and a list shall be prominently displayed on the premises. So everyone knows, whether it's the buyer, the employees, or the licensing authority, that these products, whether they are 5 or 10 or whatever it may be, are the approved list. It means there is a great deal of clarity in that. And it supports a good business, which this clearly is. It's a cooperative business, it's a good business, and it should have the benefit of that doubt. There's no issues about the lockable blind if that's needed, and I'm really grateful for the indication that the hours as amended are not objected to. So, Ma'am, with those very minor further amendments to the police agreed position, I would commend the application to you, and I'm happy to write out in the chat box or email. I think I have Alison's email directly, the amended wording, whichever is the most helpful. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much, Leo. Either way would be suitable, I'm sure. But Alison, do you want to come in on that one?
Yes, that's absolutely fine. If Mr. Charalambidis wants to email that would be extremely helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can you just confirm your email to me just to make sure I've got it correctly?
Alison, you're on mute. Alison, you're on mute.
Sorry, that's the classic, isn't it? It's lufa@ealing.gov.uk.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I'll email that now. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, we've listened to both sides. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to say the panel will now retire and will discuss amongst ourselves and our legal advisor. And I think what I can safely say is if Zaina can put everyone else into the other room for a little while, you can come back at about 3 o'clock. And if you can go off